Hey guys, backyard scrapping here, and today we are going to pour a little bit of silver. I skipped the boring part for you. I already filled my bottom mold, but what we're going to pour today is this little Derringer. So we're going to have a three-dimensional little bitty Derringer guy. Go ahead and push him in there. Just put a little more dust on him. Just to make sure. We're going to go ahead and do our top impression. So, like I said, I just spared you guys the filling of the bottom mold. We're going to go ahead and time lapse the rest like we usually do, and then we're going to go outside and pour us a nice little 999 fine silver Derringer. So just sit back and enjoy, and we'll be back at you in just a bit, talking anyway. Well guys, as you can see, I didn't get the impression far enough into this mold, so we created an edge that we tore off on this one. So basically what I'm going to have to do is push it further into the other mold and do it again, because there's not going to really be too much I can do to fix this. Well, I can possibly fix it. Now, it's going to have to be refilled. So, let me brush this off. Set it over here. Scrape this off and start over. That's what happens in this game sometimes. This mold needed to be deeper than this mold, and that's not how it worked out. Okay guys, after 3 attempts we finally got our top mold. It's still, I want to see if I can get something to point with. I want to show you some problems we have. You can see right there we had a breakaway of sand, we had a breakaway of sand here, a little breakaway of sand here, and also here. So I'm going to have to clean all that up when I pour this. Now this side came out pretty good. We got a little breakaway there. This is my old casting sand that I told you some time back that I dug out. I don't know. I dug it out when I started doing this again a couple months ago. But that sand is actually like 25 years old. It's 20 or 25 years old. So it's probably drying out. I don't think it's the petrolite either. I think it is the regular Delft clay. So this material does dry out, and the drier it gets, the harder it is to make it retain a mold. Now another problem we had with this is we were casting something that looked like it was going to be relatively easy, but this had working parts on it. So I had to glue the trigger guard shut. Also, I had to fill, I don't know if you can see that, the back of this area was, open where the hammer goes back, so I had to fill that with clay. I had to fill the barrels with clay, which even no matter how much you dust them, you can see it's still got a little sand stuck to it. That caused a breakaway. All these clay areas, even though I dusted them really good with parting powder, they still cause small breakaway places in the sand because they're not smooth. Another thing is I had to glue the trigger in, and if you can look at this and see where you see this, the clay right there, it's because that's not even. In other words, it's not perfectly even if you look at it. Now anytime you're doing a casting like this, or a sand casting, you want to try and get as much as you can 50-50 in each side. But because of stuff like this, where this is not even, in other words, this is not flush, that little trigger area is not flush with the other little trigger area, so you're going to get a breakaway of sand there. And the same thing up here, wherever anything isn't even. So now, the best thing to do, I'm not going to keep, I could spend hours trying to make this a perfect mold and keep going over it and over it and over it until I get it perfectly centered on both sides and all that, and then go ahead and pour it. Instead of doing that, this is a pretty fair mold. I've got, like I said, I've got some damage to the mold up here on the breakaways of the sand, but I'm going to go ahead and pour this like it is, then I'll clean it up. Same kind of principle I actually did with this skull. In other words, I'll make a rough draft or a rough original or prototype. Then I will detail this piece out, get everything even that's uneven on this, and fix everything that needs to be fixed on that. Then I will use that as my original. In other words, I will use my prototype to make my next one instead of using this thing, because it just has too many faults on it. There's too many areas for things to stick, in the clay that I put in the end of the barrel, under here, over here. There's just too many uneven places on this model that I used for my mold to repair. Now I could repair this and do it, but I'm still going to have all these working parts and holes that have to be filled. So the best thing in this case is to go ahead and make this one, then clean it up, clean away all the overpour, detail it out, and then use that as the original. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mold put back together. I just wanted to show you that we do have it done, and we're going to go outside and pour this little Derringer. So we'll see you when we get outside. Okay guys, we are outside. We have loaded old silver up with about 5 ounces of 999 or better fine silver. I just wanted to take this stuff out in the sunlight and see if we could get a, I don't know how sparkly it'll show up on this camera, but that is some beautiful stuff, boy. When that comes out of that silver cell, nothing like it. It's gorgeous. Beautiful silver. I hope that camera's picking it up because I can't tell through the viewfinder. But anyway, there that is. We just loaded up old silver with 5 ounces of silver. Our mold is set and leveled. So we will get back at you when we are ready to pour this little Derringer. Hopefully it won't have too much overpour on it and it'll be a fairly easy cleanup. But we'll get back at you in a bit. I believe our silver has gotten up to temperature. I'm just going to let it go for about another minute or so. Make sure that crucible stays hot. For whatever reason, I got these really thick crucibles and they seem to cool off really fast. But I got them because they were thick, you know, heavy walled. And they were not too awful expensive, but it just seems like they cool off really fast. So I want to make sure that that upper lip and upper top section of that crucible is really hot before I pour it. It just seems like I have to pour really fast if I'm pouring any amount of weight at all. I think we're ready to go ahead and give it a shot. So we've got 5 ounces melted. Let me go ahead and get the lid off of this and let's go really fast. I think we got it. Apparently I've got some extra little shots, so I'm going to go ahead and pour it off in here. I've got a little tongue, so we'll get that loose and pour it in there. And we should be good to go. See how fast that top is cooling down? Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and unplug old silver. Put this back on here. I'm pretty sure we got the pour. Set that crucible up there to cool off. And we should be good. Here's our extra silver, pour it off into shot. So we'll sit it out here to dry. Had plenty of silver, so that was good. Better to have too much than not enough. Alrighty guys. Now for the big moment, the separation. We've got some overpour like I knew we would, but it looks to me like we got us a little Derringer. So I think we're in good shape. Go ahead and set this right here and clean this stuff off, and then we'll get back at you when we're inside. Okay guys, we are back inside. We got our little Derringer poured. Let me see if I can get this light adjusted a little bit, get it up here where you can see it. I've got a lot of cleanup work to do on it, but I think it's going to come out pretty good. So what we'll do is we'll really clean this booger up, and we'll use it for our next master, or for a prototype to pour. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. And once again, I'm going to time lapse it because this is going to take a while, and I'm not going to make you guys sit here for an hour and watch me do this. So I'll talk at you again in a few. Okay guys, well it took about 30 minutes to get enough through this to pop that off. So now we will have to grind this off smooth, and we got a lot of grinding work to do on that little booger. But there's our sprue, and there's our little trimmed up Derringer. So now we're gonna just set up the grinder, or my little tub, and get the flex shaft out, and we're gonna start trimming all this stuff up. So once again, I will time lapse all that because I know that's going to be long and boring. So we'll get back at you when we get set up to do that. Okay guys, I know we were a touch hit and miss with this video, but a lot of it you've seen me do, especially on cleaning something up. I mean, that just takes forever. I actually had about 3.5 hours in cleaning this thing up and getting the edges all even, but here we are. So there she is. If I can get this thing to focus. There is our little three-dimensional Derringer. So now I've got it all evened out all the way through, the trigger, everything. So now I can actually use this as my prototype instead of using the master that I used to make this, which was all, you know, uneven and crooked and stuff wasn't lined up, and you know. But anyway, so there it is guys. I'll get a few more of these made and then see how much work I have to put into them to make a decision on their price. I think it's about 2.2 ounces, somewhere in there. But that's our finished product, guys. I hope you liked the video, and we'll get back at you pretty soon with another one. Have a good one, guys.